Hey, welcome everybody. Steel City Sports, where I'm your host, Luther Dupree, joined as always by my partners. I got Claudio Rosano, Smokin Jim Frazier in the house. We got a special guest beaming in as well. Always good to be here, man. So much is going on already this year, but we want to start it off like we always do with our Steel City news. Again, some of our predictions were right from the last time we came on. Some of them were wrong. We're going to get into all that. Make sure you give us a call, beam in, send us some messages in the chat. But let's get it started first. We got Claudio Rosano in the house, and he's just going to take it over. What's your Steel City news, Claudio?
Man, good to see you guys, first of all. Yesterday, the Pittsburgh Pirates lost a team member of the 1979 World Series, Grant Jackson, and I lost a friend. Grant and I spent a lot of time together at golf events and some different shows that we did together, different events, and spent a lot of time in the car driving to these events and talking about baseball, but more importantly, talking about life. And Grant was the type of guy who brightened up a room every time he entered it. You knew he was in the room. He was great with everybody, big personality, extremely intelligent guy, ton of common sense, was always great to my wife and daughter. And obviously I learned a lot of baseball from him, especially when it comes to pitching. But I also learned a lot of life things. We would talk about many life things. And since my dad passed, Grant was kind of the guy that I could go to who was older than me, that's been through a lot and gave me great advice. And always enjoyed being with him. His wife, Millie, great lady. And I just spoke with him 9-10 days ago, and it was a shock that he passed. And I'm going to miss Grant. And I was very blessed. I'm very blessed to call him friend.
Yeah, man, that was a big loss, man. Definitely sorry to hear that. But Smokin Jim, before we do that, we got to put a disclaimer out there. The words you're about to hear reflect Smokin Jim. They definitely don't reflect my thinking, Claudio's, or anybody else you're going to hear. That being said, Smokin Jim, it's on you, buddy. What you got for it?
I'm not sure if the Steelers are trying to go to the Super Bowl or the Blue Bonnet Bowl. Of all the qualified offensive coordinators on this planet, they get Matt Canada. Matt Canada never coached in the National Football League. For the last 30 years, he's been a college football coach. He coached at LSU. They fired him. His last college job was with Maryland. They fired him. And then he comes with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a quarterback coach to a quarterback that don't need any coaching. You know what I mean? This Pittsburgh Steelers is in trouble. Then the Pittsburgh Steelers need a great offensive line coach. What do? They go to the Nutty Professor and hire Andre Klump. Listen, and this offensive line coach, he was a finesse guy when he was at Hawaii. He was a 335-pound guy who all he did was finesse block. New England Patriots cut him in the NFL because he never seen a run block he wanted to make. This guy went to the same high school as Wiley. Marcellus Wiley, and neither of them can coach offensive line. Listen, we just got rid of Sean Surratt. You know what I mean? This was a guy that's nickname was Coach Sweet, and they ended up hiring the Coffee Boys Coffee Boy. You know what I mean? This is a Pittsburgh Steelers team. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that needs to run the football, and you hire a coach that put the F in the finesse. You know what I mean? Professor Klump's not going to get the job done. Matt Canada's not going to get the job done. Listen, I'm not here to hate. I'm just talking straight. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't want to be great. They just want to be 8-8.
Oh, man, I've heard.
Hey, Luther, I got to say, Jim's the only one that criticized when Munchak left and criticized the last offensive line coach. He's the only one. Everybody else, oh, yeah, this guy will get it done. Jim was hard on that. I think maybe other people didn't think it was a big deal. But, again, Jim, from day one, thought it was a big deal. He was right.
Yeah, I mean, he may have been right, or the players could have got old. Pouncey is snapping a ball 30 yards over the quarterback's head. I don't think Mike Munchak would have stopped that. DeCastro had injuries all year. Jim said he wasn't going to play. He was so injured. And it was like he didn't play. So this line really aged. Alejandro Villanueva got worse and worse, and I'm glad he's finally gone. So I don't know if it's the players or the coach, but Jim did call it. The offensive line did go bad. I'm not going to give Munchak that much credit because what did Denver do? Did Denver's offensive line get so much better when he got there? I don't think so, Smokin Jim. Did they? I don't know.
All I know is he was great at Penn State. He was great at the Tennessee Titans, had a great line when he was there. He changed the Pittsburgh Steelers into a great offensive line, even though Ramon Foster was a bum that couldn't pull. And so now you want to bash a guy that's in the NFL Hall of Fame because of how great he was as an offensive lineman and an offensive line coach.
Listen. I forgot Luther's Black History Month, and Mike Munchak is not black. I forgot. You know what? Always, Jim. Listen, man. Here's what I want to talk about. Speaking of Black History Month, let me get Jim's stuff off of here. I want to talk about this quarterback carousel. Listen, you have Jared Goff. He goes to Detroit for an overrated quarterback for Detroit. Never won anything. He's the Phillip Rivers of the NFC. Puts up empty stats. They give up Jared Goff, 2 number ones. They're not going to have another number one for years. I think that's a horrible move that Detroit, that actually the Rams did. It's not going to help them. They're not going to win. I feel bad for Aaron Donald. But I want to talk about the black quarterbacks. Once again, we see Dwayne Haskins. Not that he was great. He only got a year and a half, and they cut him. Steelers have him. We'll see if he gets a chance. But more than likely, these black quarterbacks, if you're not a star immediately, you're thrown out of the league completely. And I think it's a disgrace. I hate the whole way the whole thing goes down, but that's how it is. The only starting quarterbacks you see have to be stars from the very beginning. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. Guys like that, Patrick Mahomes. But if you're not a star, you're not going to last in this league. Colin Kaepernick wasn't a great star, got him out of here. RG3 had 1 year, they gave up on him. He's probably out of the league for good. Dante Culpepper, once they got rid of Randy Moss, he had a knee injury, out of the league. I think it's a disgrace. I don't know which worse, the coaches or the black quarterbacks getting a second chance. Jameis Winston leads the league in passing yards. He signs for the bare minimum. It's a disgrace. I don't like what's going on. I want the players to say something about it. I want the players to say something about the head coach's situation. One black coach gets hired, and he goes to the one job where the quarterback wants to leave. J.J. Watt, the Hall of Famer, wants to leave. He just traded the best receiver in the league. I think it's horrible. He's going in there already. How long before he gets fired? He's no quarterback. The face of the program, J.J. Watt, is already wanting to leave. He's going to fail from the very, very beginning. I think it's a disgrace. But I think we just got our special guest that beamed in for us, man. Jim, I want you to introduce him to everybody. Let's bring him in.
How in the world did we get this guy to come on? This guy is a Golden Glove champion out of Pennsylvania. He moves to Michigan. He beats everybody in the Kronk gym. He becomes the Michigan Golden Glove champion. Then he goes to college, and he does what Alabama does every year. He does what Clemson does every year. He becomes a national intercollegiate champion. And I tell you what, this is a guy that stood up for everybody across the country that wears the rainbow, because he's the first openly gay professional boxer in the history of Pittsburgh. And I tell you what, we're honored to have him. JT the Brick is in the house.
All right. Nobody brings him on like Smokin Jim.
Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to be here, actually.
All right. JT. Now,
can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear him, Jim? Claudio, you hear you loud and clear.
Yep.
What's that belt that you have right there, JT?
this was my last belt that I won from the USIBA. This is my last national championship. I won in 2017. The last year I was in college.
Okay. All right. Now, as Jim said, he gave your bio. Man, that is an impressive bio. I don't know if you remember the first time I remember seeing you. You were taking pictures at the Golden Gloves. I was videotaping and doing announcing with Smokin Jim, and you were on the sideline, and you had a whole different way of videotape. You would really get in there with your camera. And I said, man, what is he? Who is this, Jim? And the next thing I know, you're in the ring boxing. Just talk about that progression, how you started off. It looked like you were videotaping, and I don't know if you were scouting or what was going on, JT.
The idea that boxers are unable to, that literally I'm supposed to be walking in the ring to kill somebody, and I don't have the third party ability to look at what happened there. So after it's over, if I don't have a recording of it, then what I've done is completely lost time. I never see it. I never learn anything from it. And the fact is that very many boxers that I know and train without, I record everything. And the fact that I love boxing only makes that much easier.
Okay. Jim, Claudio, I'll let you guys jump in because I got a number of things.
Who were some of the guys that you looked up to that inspired you? I'm always being inspired by different people, even to this day at my age. Who were some of the people who inspired you?
Julian Jack, it's the fact that he had such a consistent, hardworking, and excellent style to the point where Mike Tyson himself looked up to Julian Jackson during the time that he was working. It's easy for me to pull out names and just say, Muhammad Ali did this and Joe Louis did that. It's not that I wasn't watching them. I always prefer to watch the boxers that are working around 4 and 6 rounds, even right now. Like, I understand that there are these big names like Devin Haney. I know that these men are there. They've been doing work for years and years and years, and I love them. But I love there's a new fighter called Eric Bazinian who came from Armenia, I believe, and I go on YouTube and I find boxers and then I start. Even though that's where I am right now in that portion of my career, those are the sort of guys that I'm watching. I'm watching people who are like me that I will beat.
Hey, JT the Brick, this is Smokin Jim. If you like 4 to 6 rounds, we must both be fans of Butterbean. But in your opinion, what is the state of amateur boxing here locally?
You brought up Butterbean first, and I'm going to tie all of this together, so let me follow. So let me just lead you for a moment. For some reason, his name is Louis Monaco. One of the very first professional boxing matches that Butterbean had was against Louis Monaco. He knocked him out in the first round of that fight. But physically, the two men couldn't be more different. Louis Monaco's 200 pounds of nothing but physical muscle, and Butterbean was 300 pounds of movement and largeness. And the reason why I bring that fight up before I go into what you're asking me is because sometimes it's not just about how much we work and how big you are, or even the people behind you. Sometimes you put yourself into these situations where you are fighting and you're boxing and you're not supposed to be trying to fight like that. You're not supposed to be trying to fight somebody who's 100 pounds more than you. But that's what they did, and that's what they do. The state of amateur boxing in Pittsburgh is that I want to say that there's the Fight Academy they are winning everything. They have nationally ranked boxers because Steve has done such an excellent job of making sure that they have basics and they have a good supportive place to go to. You know, you might have to pay to go there, but it is worth the money. The state of amateur boxing is that when boxers go to these gyms, a lot of times they're not necessarily getting all of the help that they need with the rest of their lives. So the only expansive thing in their whole life, and they can't even see how big the world really is. The state of amateur boxing is sad because for any of these boxers to work, they go to gyms that are mostly not ran by qualified people who have even been boxers. Many of these gyms are run by overweight, large, actually working out in the gym during their lifetime, and somehow they just lucked into being able to run this place so that they can run a boys club. I think it's sad. The state of amateur boxing in Pittsburgh is sad.
Now
Okay.
you mentioned USS Academy. That's run by Steve Cunningham. He's a black guy. Is there many other black gyms in Pittsburgh, or they mainly run by white owners?
Mainly these gyms are run by white men, and a lot of the white men that run these gyms have zero experience with actually being a boxer. Only they have little experience that they have a tendency of not going through, like, I'm seeing what like predators look like. I've done something to be able to have the job that I have, that stuff. None of it. Like, they can't prove that they haven't had a felony. They can't prove that they could pass an Act 33, an Act 34, a fingerprint clearance. Like, that's the problem. I'm not saying that that's not the race thing. That's just generally a problem in Pittsburgh. But when it comes to people who run these gyms, like, I think there's Weight Masters in Wilkinsburg, and I went down there earlier tonight to start being able to have a local place to work out. And I think that's the only other gym that I've encountered that has a person of color in the leadership position.
Okay.
I would like to also point out that Weight Masters, I think it's also ran by Nightmare Stallworth, and he has another gym that I can remember being in Homewood. I think it might have been on Hamilton Avenue, but he was also running it as a CrossFit facility. So both were happening. That's another person who's doing a good job in trying to make sure that the men and women in these disadvantaged.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see the screen. Someone has asked you a question. Frank Jackson. Hey, Frank, thanks for always tuning in. He says, has your sexual orientation affected your boxing career? I don't know if you could in any way. I don't know. Can you see the question, JT?
I want to make sure I answer this question correctly. And
Okay.
The question is, has my sexual orientation impacted my boxing career?
Right.
The easy answer is yes. But the hard answer is why.
Mm-hmm. Hey, JT, you're freezing up on us. Is there maybe another area you could move to? Because you actually froze, JT. All right, it looks like we. Hopefully he'll beam back in, but JT. Okay. All right. Hopefully he'll came back in. Smoking. He was getting into it for a whole lot. Again, guys, you all could beam in. You could call in. I'm going to put the number in the chat real quick. Just talk about what you were saying. I think he's trying to come back in now. Hold on one second. All right, JT,
should he call in?
JT, can you hear us? All right, it looks like he still can't. Hello, JT. All right, we're still having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, I'm going to put a number in the chat, and hopefully he can give us a call maybe, and we could talk. Hey, we'll just talk about what he was saying, and we'll try to get him back in, Smokin Jim.
How can we talk about that?
No, not about that. I thought I was going to catch you slipping, Jim. No. Just talk about his amateur. You followed him a lot. You caught a lot of his fights, professional and amateur. So just talk about it. I'm going to try to see if he's ready to come back in.
Well, I tell you what, man, you're not going to find a better resume, especially for somebody that got in boxing so late, man. He got in boxing so late. I'm sure he had to fight growing up in Penn Hills. Who don't? Got to fight your way out of that town. But listen, this is a guy, like you said, Luther, took it seriously. Used to videotape all his fights, studied. He worked out with some of the great guys. He always asked questions. He always was willing to learn. And what a successful amateur career he's had. And I tell you what, he got some wins under his belt as a professional.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Claudio, you also had a chance to see him. Showed a lot of heart all the time, of course.
No question. But I was just curious to see what the difference was between his amateur career and his pro career. He got off to a little bit of a rocky start professionally. I just wanted to know why. Was it the style that was different? Was it the opponents that were different? I know Ray Mancini had I don't want to say an easier time, but obviously he had a much better successful pro career because his style was more set for the pros than it was amateur. So I was just thinking maybe if that was the case for JT.
Okay, I think we got him back. Let's see if it's working better. JT, can you hear us now? All right. Looks like he's still having some difficulty. JT, I'm going to put the number I'm going to put a phone number in the chat. Maybe you could call in, and we could get your voice because we can't hear you and the video is freezing up. Okay. So I'm going to send you the number in the chat. Give us a call because we can't hear you and the video's freezing up, okay? All right. Hopefully he'll get the number and he can give us a call back. Just switching subjects, guys. Off season. Claudio, you're up. What would you do to, maybe keep the Steelers relevant? We heard Jim's negative thoughts at the very beginning. What is your opinion? What could the Steelers do?
Well, I think it all starts with Ben again, and I still think he has him at 70% is probably better than a lot of these younger guys coming in at 100%. So number one, I stick with him. Number two, you have to establish the running game. However way you do it, whether it's improve the line, improve the backs, whatever, you have to improve the running game. Now they're going to lose, most likely they're going to lose Schuster Smith. But I think he can be replaced. I don't think it's over for them. I think the window is damn near shut, but I still think they have a little bit of a crack left in it. But I'm going to tell you something else. Roethlisberger is only going to play one more year. Okay. They have to find somebody to replace him. And I'm not even going to say a rookie. Okay. I said the few guys that popped into my mind are, and people have talked about, well, at least Jim and I have talked about Trubinsky from Chicago. And Jimmy Garoppolo, I'd love to have him here. But another guy that nobody's talking about that I still think has a lot in the tank and could be a big-time – I still think he can be a big-time quarterback. That's Marcus Mariota from the Raiders. He's going to back up Carr. May as well come here and back up Roethlisberger with the promise, maybe for the lack of a better term, you're going to be the dog next year. You're going to be the starting quarterback next year. This way, the Steelers won't miss too much of a beat. You know, the Steelers aren't one of the teams that rebuilds. They should be one of the teams that reload. There's some organizations, the New York Yankees, the Lakers, the Steelers, those teams don't rebuild. They reload. And I think it all starts with the quarterback. But I think Mariota might be the best possible choice, salary-wise, experience-wise. He hasn't played much in the past couple of years. He's still fresh. He has an arm. He can run. You see what he did on Monday Night Football or whatever it was about a month or so ago for the Raiders. I'd go after him.
Okay, we got my man Terry French once again in here.
What's up, Terry?
He says we need to transition away from Ben. There, I said it. A lot of people agree with that. Ben had a very poor playoff outing. It seemed like his arm got
but
worse.
I mean, how many guys? I understand that, and it's easy to say. But who are you going to get to replace him?
And in the first quarter, none in the playoffs.
Well, I get that. But who are you going to get? Who are you going to get to replace him?
Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph. I don't know. There's a lot of quarterbacks in play. Deshaun Watson,
guys who can play. Guys who can play, but can you put all the bricks on their shoulders? Can you, as a coaching staff, go to bed at night and say, that's my guy? It's like me with a pitching.
Can Ben still play? The question, can Ben still play? Does he want to still play?
I think it's 70%. He's better than most of those guys, most guys that you're going to be able to get at 100. Although, again, Trubinsky, Garoppolo is going to be too much money. I think he's going to stay in San Francisco. And plus, the Steelers never had an Italian quarterback, and I don't see him being the first one. So I think, I'm telling you, Marcus Mariota might be your best bet.
Ooh. Terry French. Oh, wow. Tryout Cap. Wow. I think they've wasted his career at this point. I don't know how much he has left. He's older. Hey, but it couldn't. I still take him.
Let me tell you something. Terry French could run the Wildcat. He could run in his day. So let's get Terry French in there.
All right. Smokin Jim, same question with you. It's been done.
First of all, how can you even think a quarterback could be done when he put up 500 yards? Not too many quarterbacks in the history of the game threw for 500 yards. I'm not
empty
completely.
Stats, Jim. Those were empty stats. The game was over through the 5 interceptions.
Well, I'm not completely down on the offensive line. They only gave up 13 sacks all year. Get Pouncey back. Been through the football 68 times, never got touched in that last game of the season. Listen, I'm big on competition. You know what I mean? In 1969, the Pittsburgh Steelers had the best young quarterback in the league in Terry Hamratty, and they still went the next year and got Terry Bradshaw. After that, they got Joe Gilliam. Those guys pushed each other in practice, made everybody better. Listen, there's a quarterback in college right now. He's a year away from being ready to play in the NFL, but he's every good talent-wise is Mahomes. When he was coming out of school, he played for North Dakota State. Trey Lance, 6'3", 225 pounds, got a gun for an arm, can run, an outstanding leader. He can come in here and compete with the backup job. Learn the Steelers got to get now a great quarterback coach. They ain't had one in a long time. Listen, the Pittsburgh Steelers blew it. Coach Tomlin blew it. And the owner, Art Rooney, blew it when they got rid of the greatest offensive coordinator in the history of the game. The genius Arians, who won the Super Bowl. He already won 2 NFL Head Coach of the Year. The Pittsburgh Steelers blew it by moving away from Dick LeBeau. So right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have the worst coaching staff in the history of the National Football League. They can't even get a token Rooney Rule interview. Nobody wants to interview any of the Steelers coaches because they're that bad. So they got their work cut out for them. But I think if you re-sign Bud Dupree, Luther made a good point. You got to re-sign Bud Dupree, the matchup with TJ Watt, and you'll have enough talent, you know what I mean, to compete for that second spot in the AFC North behind the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. All right. Let's Frank Jackson back in here. He says Ben is done. He was done 2 years ago. I don't know. We don't know how much he has left of the tank. We know he can't move like he used to. He had trouble dealing with the Cleveland Browns defense, and he got worse and worse, throughout the year. Mason Rudolph did a better job against that defense in Week 16 when Cleveland had everything to play for than Ben did that first quarter. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's see.
I just still say the same thing. I mean, everybody. Who are you going to replace him with? That's better.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm asking. I mean, you're right. He threw, like Jim said, he threw for 500 yards. Okay, Luth, you have your point. He threw some picks without question. But who are you going to get to replace him? They did go 11-0, whether it was against poor teams and poor quarterbacks. I get that. But there was some talk about him maybe being an MVP. So let's say he's not – obviously he's not going to be the old Ben. We got that. Again, I'll repeat, 70% might be better than a lot of these younger guys at 100%.
Okay. All right, let's get Terry.
Although I would prepare for the future for a couple years until you get a quarterback that you can grow him, groom him, I should say. And again, those guys I mentioned might be a good idea. The Steelers do not rebuild, they reload. Those three guys I mentioned, at least two of them, I think they have a shot for, and it might not be a bad idea to get.
Okay. All right, Terry French with Ben. Next year we'll be third in the division, my opinion. Wow. All right, now let's see. JT looks like he's back.
Yeah.
JT, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, it looks like it's coming in much better now. Okay, good. All right. Again, you had the question that was asked to you. Do you think? Because I don't think we got the answer, and I think it was Frank Jackson, and he said, "Has your sexual orientation affected your boxing career?" Okay.
The answer has, but not in the ways that anybody would think. The biggest problem that I've had is the lack of access to my gym. On the 15th of May, 2018, a person named Carmen Peluso kept me from being able to use the gym on that day. The reason why he says that he did it was because of Ted Rakanja. Since that day, the lack of access that I've had to a gym that I can call home has actually been most of the problem. That is the crux of the discrimination that I claim against the sources that I've decided to implead. That's been the problem. The problem has been these close-minded, terrible people with a lack of education who have been unable to see me as a blessing to them. Everywhere I go, I have been a blessing. And everywhere that I have been kicked out of has been treated and made into something that people are able to laugh at. That's the reason every single time he has attempted to be a trainer elsewhere or with other people, all of the things have failed after what he did to me.
And then, so you're saying access to a gym. All these gyms here, and I see all the signs, you can come in and work out and train. And you're saying you have not had access to any of those gyms.
When I went down to 3rd Avenue and I asked the trainers there if someone would be in my corner for this fight, no one said yes. It's one thing to go to a gym, but it's another thing to have someone hold your pad. And that's one thing that I'm going to try and get through the boxing community. There's a difference between being allowed to go to a gym and having a trainer who is invested and emotionally wants to hold your pads to make sure that you become a better boxer. I know how to hold pads for other people. I know how to train champions. But everywhere that I went and tried to get help, they would let me into their gym because you can't reject a champion, but you don't have to help them either.
Wow, it's a 2-time Golden Gloves winner.
No,
4 times. Okay, wow, 4 times.
Pennsylvania and 2 were in Michigan.
Okay. Wow, that's sad. I mean, I'm hoping. So now as far as your career, so far, it hasn't gone the way you would have liked it. Do you plan on continuing, or are you going to focus on training? What is the future for JT?
I'm going to be a world boxing champion. This belt, I mean, it's nice. I like it. It makes me feel good. But what I want is I want a world championship. That's what God promised me. If I worked hard and did everything I was supposed to do, I am going to end up with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, do you think you can get that in Pittsburgh? Because lately, the last, I guess, champion or the last guy who really made some noise, Spider 4, of course. You know, he was known, and you know, you had Vercoin Kimbrough and you know, Monty Clay and Rayco War Saunders. Those guys had a nice start, but it's been far and few in between. Do you think it's here in Pittsburgh, or what is your next move?
I need a place that I can control. Period. That's like, I did what I did in places where I had zero control. And what I realized as a professional is that I need to take the skills that I naturally had, plus the things that I learned in the last 8 years, be able to, I think the word is to not manifest. That's not the word. The word is to cultivate talent and make sure that other people are growing with me. Because as a professional, it's more about how it is that you are able to kill somebody. You're getting in this ring to kill somebody. You're not doing anything else. It feels like you're doing something else. It feels like you're doing the amateur version of boxing, but you're not. The specific point to professional boxing is to be able to kill somebody. And I don't know if you know, but it takes.
Hold on, you said be able to kill somebody? Whoa.
Yes, that's the point.
You know, Luther mentioned Paul Spadafore. I don't think he ever went into the ring trying to kill anybody. Paul Malignaggi didn't try to go in to kill anybody. You know,
always the point of boxing. If someone dies in the ring, I am okay because I'm legally allowed to do it. Because that is the point. That's why boxing is better than MMA. That's why boxing is better than. Boxing is better than all the other sports, because all the other sports, the point is not to kill somebody. The point of boxing is to kill a person.
Wow. Listen, we've heard.
I agree. I agree with JT. I agree.
Listen, we heard Mike Tyson say he wanted to eat somebody's children, and in the next minute, he said, "Praise Allah."
He meant it.
Exactly.
Wilder, exactly. He wanted to catch a body, and now we have JT saying the purpose of boxing is to kill someone.
Yes, sir.
Professional boxing. Professional boxing.
Well, I don't think Muhammad Ali or any of the guys who were Sugar Ray Leonard.
JT, come on, that's a little strong. Don't you agree?
Very strong.
Muhammad Ali wanted to kill all white people.
Awesome.
All right, we do have a caller. Caller, say your name.
Oh wait.
Hey guys, it's Sindel on.
Hey, Sindel, how are you?
Hey, Sindel.
All right. We got JT. He's talking reckless out here. He said the purpose of boxing is to kill someone.
It is.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Well, we know Sindel is one of the most popular ring girls in the area. What are your thoughts? Have you seen JT, and what do you think about, what he's saying out here?
I actually don't believe that I have seen his fight, but that doesn't mean that I haven't seen it and just don't recognize the name. I probably recognize the shorts or the shoes more, as you know, from casting with Jim prior. Right. But I understand where he's coming from as far as the mental aspect of that word, but not necessarily the physical aspect. So I definitely think that his mindset, as far as going in with a quote unquote killer attitude, is right. You have to go in there mentally tough, mentally physically tough, and mentally ready to quote unquote attack. Quote unquote kill your opponent. But I think as far as going in there to purposely harm someone, I don't think that's necessarily the intention. The intention is for me in boxing, is to fight smart and to fight hard. Mm-hmm. And boxing
well put.
System, and it's more than just the physical aspect. So in my opinion, I think he has the right mindset if he's using it in that mentality. Okay. So looking forward to him having success, and if he has a dream, I think that especially coming from a city of champions, cheer him on, root for him, and hopefully he gets what he's after.
Okay. Hey, Sindel always brings it. Great call.
Great point, Sindel.
Anything you want to say directly to JT?
JT, like I said, I hope that your hearing my perspective of that word. Because like I said, I totally see it in that aspect. And I just also want to say, I'm glad to see Smokin Jim on. I'm glad that he's doing better. I'm glad to see you guys on and keeping talking. And JT, also just remain in contact with these guys, regardless of what happens. They're amazing people to know and to get involved with, and just keep rocking your dream.
I agree. Thank you. Can I say something positive to you? Is she gone?
No.
Yeah, she's still on. She's still on. Go ahead. She said, go ahead.
Your name, Sindel, is used in Mortal Kombat. The Queen Sindel had the power to kill a god, but was human just like the rest of us. He became the wife of Shao Kahn. But even he knew Sindel was just as powerful as she was. So the one thing I want to say to everybody out there, I am Shao Kahn. I am a conqueror. I'm out here looking for what I can take over, what I can win, what I can do. I am a conqueror. That's what I made it.
I love it. I love it. And my name is Mortal Kombat, but it actually comes from Conan the Barbarian, the very first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but the person who actually plays in that movie as his warrior queen, her real name is Sandel Bergman. Wow. And, she is an actress and a Broadway star, so that's actually who I was named after. So yeah, I get the Mortal Kombat reference. I'm a little bit older than that, but I totally can understand your mindset. And like I said, good luck, and may you prosper and continue to, go after that dream.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Sindel, as always, appreciate the call.
Hey, Luther.
Yes.
Hey, Luther. Was there anybody named Sindel in Black Panther?
I don't remember. I remember Shuri. I don't remember, no. Hey, Sindel, as always, thanks for the call. We can't wait to see you again. And, hopefully 2021, we'll be able to get back in the studio, all right?
All right, guys. Bye. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. All right, Sindel always brings it. Now, listen, Terry French is back in there. Terry says, I thought the point of boxing is the art of being able to hit but not get hit.
I disagree.
He's right. Exactly, in my opinion.
I've also been...
In my opinion, Terry's right. And as far as anybody going in the ring to try to kill anybody, when it has happened, the person who did the damage always felt like hell, and his career was never the same.
Yeah,
so, I think the word can be translated in different things, like, I'm going to go kill that guy. But I don't think they really want to go in there and actually make the guy pass away. That's my opinion. And again, the people who have been in that position, their lives changed forever, and they were never the same boxer again.
Well, I agree. I agree
Terry's
with
right.
JT.
Get hit, not get hit.
I agree with JT. Boxers are gladiators, man. I agree with JT, man. That's the mindset.
Hey, we got another caller calling in. Caller, say your name where you're calling from, please.
Hi, my name is Carol, and I'm calling from the Hill District.
Okay. All right, Carol, thanks for the call. What's on your mind?
Okay. What's on my mind today? I'm glad you had that boxer on, JT, because it relates to that mental, that brain that boxers and sometimes football players get. And they just discovered that there's a class action suit that a couple football players are trying to file a class action suit against the NFL, because when players are diagnosed or having brain injury, they found out there's two different streams now, that the white players are able to get money and the black players are analyzed a different way, because they are saying that black players do not have the same cognitive or basically intelligence, so they don't get the money. That disease that Will Smith played the doctor, the African doctor discovered that disease, and sometimes boxers get it too. So I'd like to know you all's view on that situation, and how we, as not just the black community, but everyone should be outraged about this situation, because they continue to put in place systems that practice institutionalized racism. So I'd just like to hear your views.
Okay.
All of you.
All right.
Respect the box.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, JT, I'll let you go first.
Okay. Carol is correct. However, one of the reasons why Black players and Black athletes are having such a tough time is because the Black community doesn't have a tendency of supporting us being ourselves and for ourselves in the first place. I mean, the idea of Black Wall Street or Black investors is also a part that has to be played here. For me to be able to play, for me to be able to go out and box, I have to put myself in the hands of a promoter or the hands of someone who's able to organize, implement, and have the actual boxing matches legally and furtively. And because of that, I always have to go outside of my own Black community to be able to get the help that I need. And being that I have to do that, I am always at the mercy and the will of those people that are on the outside of that portion of the community. And I used to not feel this way, but I actually have started to feel this way ever since I left college. And I didn't leave college because I wanted to. I was accused of yelling at a white woman. Her name, I'm not going to say. But the point is that I was accused of yelling at a white woman in a all-white college in the middle of Michigan. And she couldn't bring a single person up who said that I did it. She couldn't do any of the things that you would have to do to prove your case, but she was still allowed to do it because Mary.
Hold on 1 second.
Right.
Hold on. We do Carol.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Go ahead, JT. Sorry. I brought her in.
On my end, I want so bad nothing but teach other people how to do what I do. But without
Does somebody have their TV on? There's a lot of feedback.
Sure.
Okay.
But without the support of everybody around me, it's really just me trying to get into fighting situations with people. It can't be good. There's a reason why boxers go to gyms and why gyms are the support system for the whole thing that we're doing. You can't. Right. I learned that.
Right. All right, JT, I hear what you're saying, but I do believe the Black community does support their boxers. I don't know what your experience is. It sounds like it's completely different. So I wouldn't say it's a Black thing. I think it's something that was done wrong to you for what you're saying, not just from Black gyms, but from all the gyms. So I don't think you can just say that. I think you're saying all the gyms, not just the black gyms. And that's sad, and I'm sorry about that. But
me too.
All right, let's get.
What I was going to say is this wasn't about an individual situation. This is about legislation and law.
Right.
So this wasn't about us not supporting. This is something we don't even know about. When they made these laws, they actually told the neurologists that you must analyze them this way. And when they did not, they got a lot of feedback, a lot of, why didn't you do this? Because they knew that these players were exhibiting mental and brain dysfunction. Right. And instead of them saying, hey, go apply for this so you can be covered, your family's covered, I'm sorry you have that disease, and they can start working on them, they said you don't have it. So that means their condition gets worse. And we can't keep blaming the victim because we are not making these rules, and we are trusting the lawmakers to make the rules. And they should make them with all the players in mind, not just the white players or the Asian players or the Black players. If a player is injured, there's one way to analyze them. And for them to just assume that we are less intelligent, and so therefore our function doesn't matter, our brain function doesn't matter, is wrong. And at some point, what I'd like for us to do in unity is to boycott, I'm going to say that, football. Boycott it at some level, even if that means telling people that sponsors, we're going to stop buying your product until they do things right. This is not right. This has nothing to do with playing the game. This is going to healthcare, mental health care.
Hey, Carol, I definitely hear your points, and we're gonna have to look more into it, because if that's the case, I know a lot of people weren't getting the money they should have gotten, through these cases, but I didn't look deep. But I know a lot of people weren't getting the money they should have gotten through these
Well,
cases.
thank you for taking my second call.
All
It just came out. It was breaking news today. It was all over the news, so it really disturbed me
Right.
that they would treat another player that way, and it's targeting Black people. So thank you all. I love your show, JT. The best to you. I appreciate you and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, JT. Definitely. She brings up. I'm not up to date on some of the new information, but I know throughout the years, CTE has definitely been an issue. Players weren't getting the money they should have got. JT, have you ever thought about? Go ahead, Jim.
Luther, I couldn't understand what Carol said at the beginning about the testing. Could you repeat what she said?
Well, she said, I guess CTE. Some of the Black players were not getting the same amount of money. She said it's all over, so I'm just not up to date on the reports.
Okay.
But JT, CTE
money for what? Like you get paid to take those tests? I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not caught up.
If you're disabled, you get a certain amount of money. You know, with the CTE, the lawsuits, they negotiated in the last NFL agreement. You know how much money you get for CTE and all that. JT, what about CTE as a boxer? Getting hit in the head. Any concerns with that? I mean, that sounds kind of. That would be one of my main reasons for not getting into the sport of boxing.
Awesome.
Go ahead, JT.
After my first loss on the 28th of May, I was ordered to go and have these brain tests.
Right.
I understand why it happened, and I understand that I had to do it. Okay. My mind is the most valuable thing that God gave me.
Right.
God gave me a mind inside of this body, and I don't believe my purpose on earth is to not box. So I better use my mind to do it the best way I know how. And my mindset, as a part of what we were talking about before we moved the subject slightly, I still believe the same thing, because if I get into the ring with anything less than that, then I can't protect myself. I'm just trying to show that I'm doing the best thing that I can as a boxer. I want to be a boxer on earth.
All right.
That's why all those years, everything that I touched turned to gold, because that I taught people was only for the ring. And when they got out of it, I asked them to be better people, and many of them have.
Good. All right. We do have a caller. Can you say your name, where you're calling from?
LD from the East End.
LD.
I got a couple questions for JT real quick. Number one, what weight does he fight at? And number two, what if he knocks someone out in the ring and the referee says, this guy's dead? How would he react? Would he be happy? I'll hang up. I want to listen to his response.
Okay, thanks for the call, LD. Glad to hear you made the call. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, what are the two questions?
All right, the first one was, what weight do you box at?
I am normally a light heavyweight. Sometimes I go down to super middleweight. This means 165 pounds to 178 pounds.
Wow. Okay. And the second question is, he says, what if you get in the ring, you knock somebody out, and they pass away? What are your feelings? I know it hasn't happened. What are your feelings?
Look, to be honest with you, like I've been honest from the very, very beginning. Even my mother's trying to tell me to not say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I worked really, really hard to do what I'm doing. And one of the reasons why I teach people how to have a defense is so that they don't die.
Right.
I'm sorry if the amount of pressure that I'm putting to your face and head causes you to have CTE to the point where you die in the ring. I'm sorry, but I've been training to be able to do that. I'm training so that I can act. So if I do it, I'm not going to be upset. But I know that I will have psychological damage, because that's how God works. God told me point blank that I am not to kill somebody.
Right. Okay.
I have psychological damage, but I've also gotten to the point in my life where I don't want to do anything else but box. God is going to help me figure out how to balance it, but that's what's going on here. I am prepared to kill a person. Especially after the last 2 years of not boxing, being around all these people during COVID, people who can't wear masks, people who can't do just stupid people. I have to do it every day. And you know what? If I kill somebody, it won't be an accident, but it will be in the ring.
Wow.
I love it. I love it.
Of course,
you
would love that, Jim. You got CTE. Yeah, you have CTE. I'm starting to believe that for real. Hey, Frank Jackson back in here. He says, "Don't say kill, JT. That is a terrible statement. Stick and move."
I don't want to die. I don't want to die, but I also want to be the winner.
Right. Well, you don't have to kill somebody to be a winner.
You're right. I don't have to kill.
Yay.
JT, you
I had memes of me doing that. The referee finally stepped into my last fight. It was like, no, you can't hit him anymore. It was only 40 seconds.
Oh man. All right. Well, we got Lorenzo Jackson. He gave a website, questions possible discrimination for former black players in the NFL. Wow. So this thing is catching weight.
Can I say one thing, Luther? And this may answer Claudio's question as well. I am so proud of the former NFL guys that got CTE that committed suicide because they've been doing it the right way, shooting themselves in the heart so they can study the brain.
Oh, Jim, of course you would say something like that. Oh, that is a terrible thing. All right.
Wow. Okay.
Smoke.
Anyway.
Wait.
Claudio. All right. Lorenzo Jackson put something in here. I guess Kevin Henry and Najee Davenport have filed lawsuits against the NFL from 2000. Okay. So thank you, Lorenzo, for coming in here.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
He gave us a whole.
Lorenzo's a good man. Lorenzo's a good man.
Najee Davenport do the number 2 in the closet of one of his ex-girlfriends?
Because he has CTE. Smokin Jim. I have to wrap up.
Now he want to sue.
Listen, we got 2 minutes, JT. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. We got to have you back, man, because your story is incredible. I know we couldn't get into it. We had too many calls, too many comments, but the best of you. We definitely are going to do this again. We have something else we do called Ring Talk, and we need you on there, man. For Smokin Jim, Claudio, I'm Luther Dupree, and check us out on the website, scsportsworld.com. Peace.
Peace.